You know, it talks about Jesus and his interaction with demons in the Bible 55 times in the New Testament, and 5 times it goes into detail. You know, it mentions demons in the Old Testament too. If you go back to King Saul, Israel's first king, he was the one that was on the battlefield that day that David came out as a boy and killed Goliath. And David had also been playing the harp for King Saul and was best friends with Saul's son, Jonathan, and also married one of Saul's daughters. But something happened to Saul, and he became so angry and so full of hate toward David that he tried to have David murdered. He picked up a javelin and tried to run him through with it. And so what happened to King Saul, who was also God's anointed king of Israel? How did he get to that point where he was willing and lived for killing David? You know, Jesus gives us a lot of answers to that in the New Testament, especially in those 5 detailed accounts where Jesus comes across demoniacs. It's what he says and what they say to him that is unbelievably powerful. So let's just take a look at that. In Mark chapter 1, verses 21 through 28, you'll find one of the stories of the details about Jesus' interaction with someone demon-possessed. The background is he's coming to the city of Capernaum. He's gone to the synagogue or the temple, and somebody there that has the demonic forces recognizes him, and this is what happens. It says, he cried out, saying, "Leave us alone. What have we to do with thee? Thou Jesus of Nazareth, art thou come to destroy us? I know thee, who thou art, the Holy One of God." We'll look at another one. In Mark chapter 5, you find that story in verses 1 through 15. This is where, if I remember right, Jesus had just crossed the Sea of Galilee. Anyway, they were coming to a place called the Gadarenes. And there was a man there that was living among the tombs and the graves and stuff, and he was very violent. He was obviously demon-possessed. But this is what it says about that man. When he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and bowed down to him. And he cried with a loud voice and said, "What have I to do with thee, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I beg thee, by God, torment me not." When we read those words, and I'm reading out of the King James Version, I just wrote them down on my notes here. It says, the first thing that both these men said to them, "What have we to do with thee?" When you look at it a little bit deeper in the original language, actually what they're screaming out is, "What do we have in common with you?" And so when you understand, demons don't look at you at your body. They didn't recognize Jesus Christ because that's the way he looked like in heaven. You know, before the Word was made flesh, the Word was spirit, energy, power. God and his angels are spirit, energy, powers. The devil and his demons are spirit, energy, and powers. But God is the power of light that lights the inside of man. It's just like just gives us an energy, you know, that awakens things in us about the spiritual realm and his love for us. And the devil, it's not. Yeah, I used to think that the devil and the demons were simply the absence of light. I guarantee you that's not true. They are far more deliberate and intentional with their goals toward humanity. So what they were saying here, these demon-possessed people, what do we have in common with you? They were not looking at the physical flesh body of Jesus. They were looking at the energy, the spirit of what was in that vessel. And they saw that they had absolutely nothing in common with Jesus Christ. They saw no hate, no pain, no doubt, no fear, no anxiety, no worry, no condescending nature. They saw purity, they saw love, they saw peace, and they saw light. Let's take a quick look at Paul's encouraging letter in the New Testament in Philippians 2:13. He says, "For it is God which worketh within you both to desire and to do his good pleasure." When Paul wrote this, the word that he used for worketh was energeho, which is the same word we get energy, power. And so what Paul is saying, for it is God which provides an energy inside you, within you, to cause you to both desire and to do the good will of his pleasure. And so when we have this kind of light and energy inside of us, we have less in common with the devil. When we focus on positive things and not negative things, then we have less in common with these demonic forces. Now let's go back to King Saul in Israel, where we started at the beginning of this video, and what led him down that path as God's anointed king, to the point to where he was trying to kill David, and eventually ended up committing suicide on the battlefield. We find that story in 1 Samuel chapter 18. The background of the story is that Saul and David had just been very victorious over the Philistines. They came back, and there was a big parade of people coming out with instruments playing and singing, and the women were singing songs, making them up as they went about their victory. And it says here in verse 7, "And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And Saul was very angry at the saying, and it displeased him. And he said, They have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. What else can he have more but my kingdom? And Saul was very jealous of David from that day forward." When this happened to Saul, and he started focusing on jealousy and anger toward David, demonic forces then had something in common with King Saul, and they amplified that same energy. They are constantly shifting around and looking for ways to attack God's people in the world. And if so, whatever we think on, whatever negativity we speak on, then if it's outside of God's will, and if it's something that displays any kind of lack or trust in him, these demonic forces, I don't care who you are, even yes, as a child of God, when you start focusing on bad things, you have something in common with the enemy. I'm telling you, because I've lived it, I still live it. I'm not telling you this from an area of I'm never under attack by the devil. The devil attacks me every day. But we must learn to commit ourselves to thinking in the lines of faith, be led by faith and not by sight. And so when we become closer and closer and closer to Jesus Christ, when we literally pick up his word and read his word and spend time in meditation and prayer with God, then we too have less and less in common with the devil, and we disarm the enemy in our own lives.